Alright guys, welcome to the finals of the winners bracket. We're getting so close to AK viewers, it's blowing my mind right now, but for now, the game at hand, this is the finals, guys. The winner of this qualifies to go on to IEM Cologne. Of course, there'll be one more qualifier joined from the losers bracket, but currently leading the series up 2-0 in this best of 5. This could be it if he can close this out. Polt will have secured himself a slot at IEM Cologne. Spawning in the lower left corner of the map, he's blue, he's Terran, he is the monster known as Polt.
In the upper right has the purple Terran. It's going to be Complexity's QXC.
He's put a pretty good showing in so far. None of these games have been so lopsided that it's been like, haha, what a joke. He's put up good fights, and Polt's not had an easy run so far. That being said, it's never fun being down 2-0.
Especially against Polt, who seems to be the comeback king.
Forget comeback. Like, he's just... That guy, like, he analyzes what you do, and he just somehow finds a way through it. Like, no matter what you throw at him, Polt always seems to find a way to come... Like, not come back, I guess, but really just get ahead in a game.
Yeah. He's actually... I know you don't play FPL, or I don't know if that's the right way to say it. You don't use FPL or whatever, but they always say don't put Roro on your anti-team. Because whenever you do, he does, like, really, really well. It's like Polt. Like, don't ever consider Polt out of a game, because that's when he just brings it back and wins.
Yeah. Well, QXC, we'll see what he does here. Yansu lends himself to some very unique styles of play because, of course, these upper third or fourth bases, depending on your point of view, can be a bit pain to deal with. You see a lot of Terran players, if they are going to take this base, will take it earlier on in the hopes of mining it out sooner and not having to defend it later, leaving the southern bases or the northern bases, I guess, depending on your point of view, to be a little bit more safe for those later expansions. These games have been going pretty late and pretty deep. Both players usually get to around the 4 base points, so we'll see just how far this goes. Maybe someone tries to end this with a bit of an all-in. Because, you know, actually, I think that, you know, there's not a lot of Terran all-ins that really cheese the same way other races can, but, you know, QXC's that guy who does tend to opt for that 2 racks when he's behind. Maybe he's got some sort of tank Banshee all-in that he's got in his pocket to try and bring back the series. I mean, it just takes one game to get the momentum rolling.
Yeah, it is super difficult in TBT, though. Like, there are some 1 bases where you can try and surprise your opponent, but with what everyone's doing, everyone's getting tanks fairly early on, and really tanks are, you know, if you can get a 2 base and you can cover with tanks, then from there you can probably, you know, get onto a longer game, right? They usually end before like 10 minutes. And, I mean, that's fortunate or unfortunate depending on what your views are on the matchup, I guess, or StarCraft 2 design in general.
Oh boy, that's going to spark some debate. Let's just talk about balance already.
I didn't use the word balance. Get out.
I know, you said design. It's
yeah, very key.
one of those thesaurus things.
No,
okay.
It's completely different. No.
Well, anyways, QXC's Banshee is going to be out a little bit earlier than Polt. So you know what? Polt's kind of been... How do I phrase this? The dictator, I guess, as far as the pace of these games go in the opening. Like, he's the one with the Banshee's out first. He's the one in QXC's base, but QXC having this out so much earlier, if Polt blindly goes for a Banshee instead of his own defensive capabilities, typically Banshee versus Banshee, whoever gets there first ends up being who wins.
It can be odd, for sure. That's, actually, Polt just goes to the Viking immediately. He's getting a command center, so his Banshee, should he have gotten it, would be later anyways, so... You know, get that Viking, have the defense against their Banshee, and maybe later on you can get the counter Banshee.
Yeah, and whether it's, you know, Polt does, you know, I hate to phrase it like this. Like, it's not a coin flip, but the reality is whether you choose to go for the Viking and play defensive, or whether you choose to be aggressive, you know, sometimes luck will really be on your side, and Polt, of course, did not see the starport coming down. He didn't even see the second gas. He has no knowledge that the Banshee's coming, but wants to play it safe, and it's going to pay off in droves for him.
The Viking is currently trying to see where that Banshee is going to come from. Unfortunately, I believe QXC is going to come in from the bottom and to the left, as opposed to where Polt expects. We do have a scan in QXC's base, so now I know for sure it's going to be Cloak Banshee and a command center, so no 1 base weird stuff. And yeah, he finds the Banshee immediately.
That's weird. I didn't hear the scan noise when that went down. Whatever.
I don't know why you did it.
I know, it's weird. Just I've heard every scan so far today, just that one, for whatever reason. But okay, Banshee is cloaked, dancing around a little bit. There's another scan holstered and ready. The cool thing about, of course, the way Cloak works is you can juke out Viking hits if you get outside the range of it quick enough, but with Polt's Raven finishing up in a moment's time, yeah, it's not like outrunning a scan. You gotta outrun both of these units.
It's one SCV force trouble. I guess he's gotten 2 in the course of this game, but so far easily deflected, and that does put him a little bit behind economically. It's funny.
What?
Just saying it, like, economically, it's...
Are you going crazy here in the cast? Like...
Maybe. Maybe. QXC is going to go for mech again. I'm actually not too surprised. I guess he just really prefers this in TVT, and Yansu's actually a pretty good map for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, mech's kind of been his go-to for a lot of today. Typically, you don't want to break it. It's hard to bounce between the two. Like I said, QXC is someone who's more than capable of playing both. You guys, if you've seen any recent tournament VODs of him, he's able to do bio no problem. But of course, once you get in the mindset of mech, it's kind of hard to break out and be like, you know what, I'll just play bio instead this time. That's not something that happens too often.
Well, Polt's so so confident in his defense that he gets a third command center. He's been getting third command centers pretty early in the past 3 games and has gotten as such a head start. And that's you know, twice as good because he is going for that bio and you do want that better economy.
Well, the tanks are in such a good spot on this ledge. There's no way for QXC to really get in here, not from the north and not from the south. And was that illusion we saw fail with that tank down here in the very far south? So, of course, not that QXC would know about that. Still not going to be trying it himself. He's got his own tanks coming out just now, and Hellions coming to the middle of the map. Banshee's going to be really nice here. The Marines, of course, are going to scare them off, but if you can catch the tanks out of position even for just a moment, picking off a tank can be fantastic. Especially in the early game when the tank counts are going to be relatively low. But getting in here, going to pick off a couple of these Marines. They do not have combat shields, so of course do get 2-shot by these Banshees.
So taking out quite a few. Needs to get that Raven and Viking over there. Where did it go? There it is. It's waiting for the other Banshee. Okay.
Yeah, this one's going to walk into its own death. Backs away immediately.
Quick reaction. Yeah, quick reaction right there. No third command center yet for QXC. Just now getting his tank count up nice and actually only 1 so far, so never mind. But soon he will be able to as he's get that that gas going. Fortunately, not saturated quite yet.
Racking up the Marine kills on this Banshee, but still, Polt almost kills it. I don't know, this is going to be, I feel like one of those passive games until at least Blue Flame's done, because for QXC to push any sooner would just, I feel, be a bit foolish. There's not a lot for him to get accomplished, and he knows there's going to be siege tanks waiting for him.
Yeah, that's the key. He knows that siege tanks are waiting. Like, if you can get them only going for bio, especially if they don't know you're going back and they only have Marines, you can, you know, try and engage with, with Hellions. Wow, I'm totally messing up right now. It's not even that late. But,
yeah, I'm the one who's sick here. What do you think you're doing, Simon?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to make you look better.
Oh, thank you. Very
You're
nice. Hellion somehow gets out of there alive. I don't know how, but okay. It kind of like didn't know where to go after it got hit by the tank fire, turned around and barely got away, but still got away.
Oh. Polt once again getting a lot of tanks. As, I feel like that's just him. Like, yeah, I don't know why he doesn't go mech, but he tries to get as many tanks as possible anyways. A lot of production facilities went down. Of course, he's been on 3 bases, or he's had that third command center for a very long time anyways. Now going to be on 3 bases. You know, he's never really had to fear QXC doing anything. You know, QXC's never been that aggressive mech player, not trying to siege him up or, you know, out-harass him with Hellions or anything like that. So he feels very comfortable getting this third nice and early.
Yeah, and it's like we were talking about before too, like, the mobility is really the biggest factor, like, why you don't see Polt go into mech. Like, he's not a slow-paced player. He's someone who's going to be in multiple locations at once, and it's just won him both of the games so far. But taking up more engagement here, these Marines will go down, but at the cost of quite a few Hellions. There is a drop locked and loaded, ready to go. There's only a turret here to deter it, but I mean, all he needs to do is get to that mineral line. It becomes worthwhile. This siege push here towards the third doesn't need to over-dedicate too much. It does have some nice coverage here.
SCVs are so close to dying. Aren't you killing them? There you go.
All right, gets on top of the SCVs here. Still has air control, which is a big deal. These Vikings are going to keep most of whatever's going to be coming his way at bay. But while this is going on, we got the point defense drones to defend against the Marauders, but they do get taken out very quickly by the Marines. Now with one Banshee to rain hell from above, they'll try and get more. Try to get it more done. Surprised we didn't see the Hellion drop go off while this was going on, though. I mean, I understand that it was taking a lot of control from QXC to focus on that part of the map, but if those 4 Hellions had gotten to the main, all these SCVs would have been forfeit, without question.
1 Marine took down 1 Banshee as it died. It was truly a hero Marine.
I missed that then. Oops.
It was during the fight. The Hellion drop has finally commenced, but attacking the barracks, that's not so good. There you go, going right for that middle line, but lucky for Polt, 2 Marauders pop out just in time.
One more volley is all he needs, but the concussive shells are playing against him right now in a big way. 2 Hellions with Blue Flame can still cause some damage, but QXC is elected to just abandon ship as he tries to get a couple down towards the third. Total of 22 SCVs have been killed so far. QXC's only lost 1 himself, but someone jokingly said it in the chat earlier tonight, like, you need to kill like 90% of Polt's SCVs to really hurt him economically, like.
Yeah, I mean, he did. Joke aside, he did get that really early third, so he's not even that far behind losing that many SCVs, 63 to 56, and QXC is in the lead, but not by much, and that's pretty comfortable for both players. Honestly, they want to get a few more, but that's about it. Sensor tower going down for QXC, going to be in the main, going to stop any drops from getting undetected for too long. I do like that QXC puts tanks in his main. And a lot in StarCraft 2 you don't see this. It was very common in Brood War, but. It's just, I guess they really want to have that really as much of a death ball as possible, so they bring every single unit with them, but that can hold off a lot of nasty drops.
I saw Brother in chat here say we'll bring this up one more time, guys. This is not the last games we're gonna cast today. This is the winners finals match. There's still the entire losers bracket, or at least what's left of it to go through. So there'll be a best of 5 at the finals down there to decide the second qualifier for today. And of course, whoever manages to scrape it out through the losers bracket will go fight the loser of this series for that slot. So if QXC does go out 0-3, then of course he'll be sitting there waiting for an opponent. Or if Polt ends up losing and QXC can turn this series around, then he will be waiting in the losers bracket. But not the last series, not by a long shot. 2 Hellbats do drop towards the main. Gonna get a couple SCVs here, but Polt pulls them pretty quickly. Polt's army supply is looking pretty darn scary right now. QXC does have to be a little bit careful. Clumping these tanks, they're going to be scary enough to ward Polt off, but again, not a lot of anti-air here. These Vikings, there's 4 of them, but they're all pretty much dead.
How about drop? Try to do more damage, but actually, I think it did a few more. Yeah, it's not too big of a deal. Could have been a lot worse. Tank line set up for Polt at the third. You're going to shell away at the SCV line. Nice little edge right there. Also, if you want to go over to my camera, there's actually that ledge to the left, or just point to whatever. That's if you guys watch Pro League, which you don't, there's a ledge right there that actually hits the mineral line, and it's absolutely devastating. It's actually very, very useful, but Polt is not using it.
Well, QXC is going to push this back just a smidgen for now, but unfortunately can't get any sort of advantage for now. Going to try and get around this with some Hellbats. We'll see where he takes those to drop. Obviously can't go on top of the tanks with the amount of Marines and Marauders waiting, but another big push. You know, QXC's focal point is this push over here at the third, but the natural base is relatively unguarded. There's a couple of tanks, sure, but that's a couple of tanks. Dropping towards the main could be devastating. Yeah,
if he drops the main, that could be maybe game, honestly, because there's not a whole lot of defense. In fact, there's not even a missile turret, and actually QXC notices and says, I'm going to move over just a tad, just to make sure that does not happen. So Sensor Tower, I think, alerted him just a little bit. Drop, another Hellbat drop for QXC, goes into the main of Polt. Still no turrets, so this could get a lot of kills.
2-2 just finished up for Polt 2, as well as his +1 weapons upgrade while this was going on, so pretty nice lead in that regard. QXC, of course, once again behind his upgrades, but not nearly as bad as he was last time. He's actually got +2 finishing up in a moment's time. One Hellbat clears out a small amount leading into the tanks, but of course the tanks are a little bit too strong.
More CVs are going down up to 35 now, as they do finally get pulled away, so Polt is back down at 54 compared to 69. We do have both players probably thinking along the same lines right here, going for double starport off the back of their one already. This usually favors the mech player because they're going to have the upgrades. And, you know, as long as QXC doesn't get surprised again, you know, doesn't lose his Vikings and then not build them again, then he should be dominant in that area.
I don't even know what to call this. Like a small poke? Scouting squad? Alright, anyways, Command Center in a bit of trouble, but Siege Tank from Polt at a very bad spot. Still doesn't die right away, but loses a couple Siege Tanks to that push out of QXC. But of course, over in the lower right, this base, not a fun base, a step before to take.
That was pretty much a free kill for Polt right there. He might be trapped. Well, what's in the main? Actually, there's a lot of tanks. Well, if he drops on top of the tanks, maybe not. He's got to make a decision right now as the Vikings are taking out the medevacs, and he just runs into tank fire. Only one tank fire so far. He could actually wreck the natural. Main tries to stop him from coming in, but there's already so many tanks that that's almost
Seeker missiles, but loses the Raven for it. He should be able to hold this, though. Yeah, holds this
that was only That was preferred to Polt going into the main. If he had just gone to the natural, might be got a lot of
Oh,
SCV
these
kills,
tanks
maybe
aren't
the natural
sieged.
command center.
Third base
Oh,
tanks are not sieged. A couple of Hellbats and tanks now rallying backwards to try and hold on to this. Again, another small amount of Polt's army that's going to be sacrificed, but you know, this is worth noting. QXC for the first time has a pretty major supply lead, but the problem is he's got no way to really push.
If he pushes after this, maybe he can do something, but it's always so difficult to push as a mech player. Like, if they get good position, if they get like a three-prong surround, then you're in trouble, and Paul's really, really good at that, but he is up by 50 supply, so now would be a great time to go ahead and
Comfortably
try and do something. I feel like this was his problem in Habitation Station, too. He was so comfortable being on 3 or 4 bases, thinking that he was, like, you know, untouchable, never pushed out, that he never really did any return damage, but looks like he is pushing out right now. Oh, just taking out the door. Never mind.
The army composition of QXC is looking really good, but only if he can get most of these sieged. Once again, Polt has transitioned into some battle cruisers, and QXC, again, he doesn't have that crazy air dominance he's had in previous series. The difference is he's got a couple Thors instead of just barely one. Now, Thors are kind of a bit fickle on how you want to utilize them. Typically, the Vikings clump up a lot, so not transforming your Thors can be really nice, but of course, if you transform your Thors, they do a little bit more damage, a little bit quicker to a single target. That being said, battlecruisers are still going to be a pain to deal with one way or another. And let's not forget the Yamato cannon. It doesn't one-shot a Thor, but it almost one-shots a Thor.
You have QXC going back into those Ravens, getting the upgrades for them. They can be super, super useful. He's probably going to have to, you know, transition to those Widow Mines. As long as he scouts the battlecruisers early, then he can obviously defend against them, but he has to scout them. And I think so far... Oh, well, actually, I just saw the Fusion Core. So now he knows what is his tech of choice. Well, he's max, so he really can't add any more Vikings. Tries to.
Yeah, I'll have to sacrifice some Hellbats to get more in this. Vikings, of course, are best adept at like, hit and run, hit and run, hit and run versus battlecruisers, not really taking them head on. Of course, battlecruisers have such short range. They're really neutered in that regard. They can't follow Vikings if they're just going to kite all day. But of course, for QXC, he's going to limit on where he can go with the Vikings and the Ravens, more importantly, because there's going to be a lot of Marines on the ground covering the battlecruisers. This is not just going to be naked battlecruisers in the middle of the field.
Yeah. Polt trying to find some area of attack for his ground units. He's going to be waiting for those battlecruisers. If he finds an opportunity for the battlecruisers to just go on and do damage by themselves, then that's great. If he has to use his ground, that's fine too. Does scan multiple locations, sees where he could potentially, you know, find the weakest points.
Small update, Zombie Grub. Looks like Suppy has been eliminated.
Yep.
A little bit sad to hear, a little bit sad to say, but he is now out. Leaving Huck to advance on forward. We got some Vikings. Ugh. But again, Seeker Missile's going to go down. That's a lot of Seeker Missiles. Is that going to be enough to shut this down? Polt spreads, but perhaps a little too late. Takes some heavy fire nonetheless. Thors are, of course, doing what they can to hold this back, but the Marines in the pile underneath. There's not a lot of Hellbats left. The tanks are going to do what they can, but I think Polt should be able to take down that third base. There's only a small amount of tanks here.
Well, there's 4 tanks. He's got to do a little bit of a split it. There you go. He actually does just demolish them completely, and will be able to get the command centers, or at the very least let them lift off. Not too many Marines, so he can. We're gonna try and save it. There's another group of oh no, there's another group of Bio, and QXC is gonna be on siege. She's just gonna be swamped, and that's
looking to be game. Polt GG with a 3-0 clean sweep will lock down the finals of the winners bracket and qualify for IEM Cologne. But that's not it, guys. There's still the losers bracket to go through, and we will find more players in a moment's time.